Yujin stepped off the transport ship and into Galactic Council Station Omega-7. The air smelled different here, recycled, clean, but foreign. She pulled her bag closer and walked into the main hall. Hundreds of aliens moved through the space, tall ones, short ones with scales and ones with fur. She had studied them all back on Earth, but seeing them in person made her heart race. A group of Kix merchants stood near a vendor stall. Their reptilian heads turned toward her. They stopped talking. One of them made a clicking sound and they hurried away. Yujin frowned. This was the third time since she arrived. Every time an alien noticed she was human, they acted strange. She found her way to the diplomatic wing. Her new mentor was supposed to meet her here. The hallway stretched long and curved, following the station's circular design. Doors lined both sides with symbols she was still learning to read. "You must be Yujin." The voice came from behind her. She turned and saw a Kix standing there. He was taller than the ones she saw earlier, with darker scales and old scars across his snout. He wore the gray robes of a council mediator. "I am Veltar. I will teach you our ways here." He gestured for her to follow him. They walked together through the diplomatic section. Veltar explained the layout, the rules, the protocols. Yujin listened carefully, taking mental notes, but she kept noticing the looks. Aliens stepping aside when she passed, whispered conversations stopping when she got close. "Why do they stare?" she finally asked. Veltar was quiet for a moment. His tail swished behind him. A sign she had learned meant discomfort. "Your people have a reputation," he said carefully. "What kind of reputation?" "A complicated one." They entered a large room filled with data screens and star maps. Veltar pulled up a holographic display. It showed several star systems in red. 15 years ago, there was a war. We call it the Frontier Wars. Several species tried to claim territory in the Outer Rim. Resources were scarce. Colonies were attacked. The Galactic Council could not stop it. Yujin nodded. She had learned about this in her training, but the history files on Earth were incomplete. Humans had only 3 colonies in that sector, Veltar continued. Small populations, easy targets. The Kryn warlords thought humans would be quick to conquer. What happened? Veltar's eyes focused on her. One human changed everything. The hologram shifted, showing battle after battle. Tactical movements that made no sense at first, then suddenly became brilliant. Enemies defeated not through firepower, but through strategy and endurance. "His name was Taijin," Veltar said quietly. "One warrior, one mind. He saved 17 worlds." Yujin felt a chill. One person did all that? He did not fight alone, but he led. He planned. He never stopped, even when any rational being would have surrendered. The Kryn feared him. The Vornal fled from him. Even the Hexith, who fear nothing, learned to avoid him. Veltar closed the hologram. "That is why they stare at you. They remember what one human can do. They wonder if every human is like that." Yujin sat down, processing this information. Back on Earth, they taught that humanity won the frontier wars through diplomacy and cooperation. They never mentioned one warrior who terrified entire species. "Where is he now?" she asked. "No one knows. After the war ended, he disappeared. Some say he died. Others say he went to the far edge of the galaxy to be alone." "Why would he disappear if he was a hero?" Veltar's tail swished again. "War changes people, even heroes, especially heroes." The next morning, Yujin received her first assignment. She was to travel to Kesh 9, a mining world in disputed territory. 3 different species claimed the mineral rights. Tensions were high. The council needed someone to negotiate peace before violence started. She spent the day preparing, reading files about Kesh 9, studying the 3 factions, learning their cultures and needs. It seemed like a straightforward mediation. She felt confident she could find a solution that satisfied everyone. That evening, she went to the station's observation deck. The stars stretched endlessly beyond the transparent dome. Earth was too far away to see, but she knew the direction. She wondered if she had made the right choice, leaving home to work out here among aliens who feared her kind. An older human sat in the corner, staring out at the stars. Yujin recognized her from the transport ship. She walked over. "Mind if I sit?" The woman looked up. She had gray hair and tired eyes. "Go ahead." "I'm Yujin. Just arrived yesterday." "Hi, Juan. Been here longer than I care to remember." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the stars. "Can I ask you something?" Yujin said. "Why do the aliens act so strange around us?" Heywan smiled, but it was sad. "You heard about the frontier wars yet?" "A little. About a warrior named Taijin." "Ah, so Veltar told you." Heywan looked back at the stars. "I was there. Saw some of it myself." Yujin turned to face her. "You were in the war?" "Not as a soldier. I ran a medical station on one of the colonies. When the attack started, we were sure we would die. Then he showed up." "Taijin?" Haiwan nodded. "He was just one man, but the way he fought, the way he thought, it was like nothing the aliens had ever seen. They thought war was about strength and weapons. He showed them it was about will, about refusing to quit." "The files on Earth don't talk about him much," Yujin said. "Earth wants to forget that part of our history. They want us to be diplomats now, not warriors. But the aliens out here, they remember. They will always remember." Yujin felt frustrated. "So they will always fear us? Maybe. Or maybe someone can show them there is more to humanity than one warrior's legend." Heywan looked at her. "That is why they send people like you, to build a new reputation." The next day, Yujin boarded a transport to Kesh 9. As she left the station, she thought about what Veltar and Haiwan had told her. She thought about this mysterious warrior who became a legend. She thought about the weight of a reputation she did not earn but had to carry anyway. The transport jumped to faster-than-light speed, and the stars blurred into lines of light. Yujin pulled up the files on Kesh 9 one more time. 3 factions, disputed territory, rising tensions. She did not know yet that the conflict on Kesh 9 was bigger than a simple mining dispute. She did not know that the name Taijin would soon be whispered there again. She did not know that her mission to prove humanity had changed would require finding the one man who made them feared in the first place. All she knew was that she wanted to succeed. She wanted to show the galaxy that humans could build peace, not just win wars. The transport hummed around her as it carried her toward her first real test. Kesh 9 looked nothing like the pictures. Yujin had expected a dusty mining world with simple buildings. Instead, she found a sprawling settlement built into canyon walls. 3 different architectural styles mixed together, showing where each alien species had built their section. Smoke rose from industrial plants. The sound of drilling echoed through the valleys. A Vornal official met her at the landing pad. He was thin and tall, with skin that changed colors based on his mood. Right now, it showed nervous blue patterns. "Welcome, Diplomat Yujin. I am Resh. The council sent word you were coming." He looked around quickly. "We should go inside. It is not safe to stay in the open." "Why not?" Yujin asked. "Things have gotten worse since the council received our request. Thaxel does not want negotiation." They hurried through narrow streets. Yujin saw aliens from different species mixing together, but there was tension in the air. Groups stayed separate. Weapons were visible on many belts. This was a colony on the edge of violence. Resh brought her to a compound protected by energy barriers. Inside, representatives from the 3 factions waited. A Vornal like Resh, a crystalline hexith whose body reflected light, and surprisingly, a human. The human woman stood when Yujin entered. She was older, maybe 50, with short gray hair and strong arms. She wore mining gear covered in dust. "I'm HFY," she said. "I run the human mining operation here." Yujin blinked. "HFY? I met someone with that name on Omega 7 station." "That was my sister. She told me a young diplomat was coming." HFY smiled slightly. "Small galaxy sometimes." The negotiations started immediately. Each faction presented their claim to the mining rights. The Vornal had been here first. The Hexith had better technology to extract the minerals safely. The humans had the smallest operation, but had found the richest deposits. It should have been solvable. Yujin saw several compromise options, but every time she suggested something, the representatives looked at each other nervously. "There is something you are not telling me," Yujin finally said. Resh's skin turned dark purple. "The problem is not us. It is Thaxel." "Who is Thaxel?" "A Kryn warlord. He operates in this sector. He has decided that Kesh 9 should belong to him alone." The Hexith representative spoke, its voice like wind chimes. "Thaxel has hired mercenaries from 6 different species. He has ships and weapons. We have mining equipment." "Why doesn't the Galactic Council send military support?" Yujin asked. "They are afraid," HFY said bluntly. "Afraid that military action will start another frontier war, so they sent you instead." Yujin felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. She was supposed to negotiate peace with someone who wanted war. That night, Yujin stayed in HFY's section of the colony. The human quarters were simpler than the alien areas, but felt more comfortable. HFY made something that resembled tea. "You should leave tomorrow," HFY said. "This is going to get violent. No reason for you to be here when it happens." "I can't just give up." "Giving up is different from recognizing an impossible situation." HFY sipped her tea. "Thaxel has been waiting for an excuse to attack. He wants to prove something." "Prove what?" "That humans are not scary anymore." Yujin stared at her. "What?" HFY set down her cup. "During the frontier wars, the Kryn were the main aggressors. They are big, strong, brutal. They thought they would crush the human colonies easily. Then Taijin fought back. He hit them where they were weak. He used tactics they could not predict. He made them retreat again and again." "So Thaxel wants revenge?" "He wants to restore his species' reputation. If he can crush human settlements, if he can make us afraid, then maybe other species will forget that one human made the Kryn run." The compound shook suddenly. Alarms blared. HFY jumped up and ran to the window. Yujin followed. Ships descended from the night sky. They were firing on the colony's outer buildings. Explosions lit up the canyon walls. "Pirates!" HFY said. "Working for Thaxel. He is starting his attack." They ran through the corridors. Other humans were already moving to shelters. HFY led Yujin deeper into the compound, into underground tunnels that connected the different sections. The tunnels shook with each explosion above. Dust fell from the ceiling. Yujin could hear screaming in the distance, though she could not tell if it was human or alien. They reached a reinforced shelter. Dozens of people huddled inside, human and alien together. Children cried. Adults tried to stay calm, but fear was clear in their eyes. HFY checked the security feeds on a data pad. The pirate ships were focusing on the mining equipment, destroying it systematically. They were not trying to kill civilians yet, just remove any economic value from the colony. "This is just the beginning," HFY said quietly. "Tomorrow they will demand we leave. If we refuse, they will start targeting populated areas." Yujin felt helpless. All her training was in negotiation and diplomacy. She had no idea how to stop an armed attack. Hours passed. The explosions eventually stopped. The pirate ships withdrew. When it was safe, HFY took Yujin back to her quarters. "Get some rest," HFY said. Tomorrow you should contact the council and tell them the situation. But Yujin could not sleep. She sat in the small room, thinking about everything she had learned, about the frontier wars, about Taejin, about why aliens feared humans. Just before dawn, Haewon knocked on her door. "Come with me. There is something you should see." They went to Haewon's personal quarters. The older woman unlocked a storage container and pulled out a small metal box. Inside were old photos, the kind printed on physical material instead of stored digitally. Haewon handed one to Yujin. The photo showed a man standing among a group of aliens. He looked tired. Scars marked his face and arms, but his eyes were sharp, alert. Behind him, buildings were damaged but standing. The aliens in the photo looked at him with expressions that mixed gratitude and unease. "That is Taejin," Haewon said, "taken here on Kesh 9 about 12 years ago." "He was here?" "Pirates attacked this colony back then, too. Different leader, same idea. Thought they could take what they wanted. Taejin was passing through and decided to help." "What did he do?" "He did not fight them ship to ship. He could not. He had no warships, no army. Instead, he turned the colony itself into a trap. He used the mining equipment as weapons. He used the tunnels for ambushes. He made the pirates afraid to land." Haewon took the photo back, looking at it with old memories in her eyes. "He saved this place, saved all of us. But after it was over, I saw him sitting alone in the dark. He was shaking, not from fear, from the weight of what he had to do to win." "Where did he go?" "No one knows. He left one night and never came back. Some people say he is dead. Others say he is hiding somewhere trying to forget the war." Haewon put the photo away carefully. "I think he is alive. I think he ran away from what he became." Yujin stood up and walked to the window. The sun was rising over Kesh 9, turning the canyon walls orange and red. "Even if we could find him," Yujin said, "why would he help us? If he wanted to fight, he would not have disappeared." "Maybe he would not help," Haewon agreed. "But maybe Thaxel would run anyway, just hearing the name." Yujin shook her head. "I was sent here to build peace, not to threaten people with legends." "Then you better think of something fast, because Thaxel is coming back, and next time he will not just destroy buildings." The morning light filled the room, but Yujin felt cold inside. 3 days passed. Yujin sent reports to the Galactic Council every day. They told her to keep trying diplomatic solutions. They told her military intervention was not an option. They told her to be patient. Meanwhile, Thaxel's forces attacked 2 more mining colonies in neighboring systems. The pattern was the same. Pirates destroyed infrastructure first, then demanded the colonists leave. Those who refused were killed. Yujin watched the news feeds in horror. One colony had a population of 3,000. Men, women, and children from 4 different species. Thaxel's mercenaries gave them 6 hours to evacuate. When they could not get transport ships in time, the mercenaries opened fire anyway. "The council has to do something," Yujin said to Veltar over subspace communication. Her mentor's face on the screen looked old and tired. "The council is debating. Many species remember the frontier wars. They do not want another conflict. So they will just let Thaxel murder innocent people. They are afraid, Yujin. Fear makes people hesitate." She ended the call and threw her datapad across the room. Haewon watched from the doorway. "Anger will not help," the older woman said. "Nothing seems to help. I was trained for negotiation, but you cannot negotiate with someone who only wants violence." Haewon picked up the datapad and checked it for damage. "You could call Earth. Request military support from human forces." "I already tried. They said the same thing as the council. Too risky, too expensive. Not our problem." "Not our problem," Haewon repeated bitterly. "There are humans on those colonies that were attacked." I know. But Earth's government decided after the Frontier Wars that humanity would not be the galaxy's military anymore. They want us to be diplomats and traders, not warriors. What they want and what the galaxy needs are two different things. Yujin sat down, feeling defeated. Even if Earth sent ships, it would take weeks to get here. Thaxel will attack again long before then. Reports came in throughout the day. Thaxel was gathering more mercenaries. His fleet was growing. Intelligence suggested he was planning a massive assault within the week. His target was unclear, but Kesh 9 was on the list of possibilities. That evening, Yujin met with the colony representatives again. They were preparing evacuation plans. "If we leave, we lose everything," Resh said. His skin showed dark, angry colors. "Generations of work, gone." The Hexith representative's crystal body pulsed with dim light. "Better to lose work than lives." "We could fight," Haywan said. Everyone looked at her. "We have people. We have knowledge of this terrain. We could defend ourselves." "Against 6 species of trained mercenaries?" Resh's skin went pale. "That is suicide." "Maybe. But running is certain death, too. Thaxel is attacking every colony in this sector. Where would we run to?" The meeting ended with no decisions. The representatives agreed to think overnight and meet again in the morning. Yujin could not sleep again. She went to the colony's communication center and tried to find information about Thaxel. Who was he? Why was he doing this? The files painted a clear picture. Thaxel was a Kryn warrior who fought in the Frontier Wars. He was part of the forces that attacked human colonies. He was there when Taijin fought back. He personally led 3 assault waves that all failed because of human tactics. After the war ended, Thaxel lost status among his people. The Kryn respected strength, and he had been defeated by what they considered a weaker species. For 15 years, he rebuilt his reputation slowly, becoming a mercenary leader and a pirate lord. Now he wanted to prove that the human victory was a fluke. That one warrior did not represent all of humanity. That the Kryn were still the strongest species. Yujin understood suddenly. This was not about mining rights or territory. This was about pride and revenge. She was reading more files when Haiwan rushed into the communications center. "Turn on the long-range scanners," Haiwan said urgently. Yujin activated the display. At first, she saw nothing unusual. Then Haiwan pointed to a small signal at the edge of sensor range. "What is that?" "A ship. Single-person transport. It has been moving through this sector for the past week." "So? There are lots of ships out here." "Not like this one. Look at the path it has taken." Haiwan pulled up a map and traced the ship's route. It had stopped at 4 different locations. Each location was a refugee camp filled with people who escaped Thaxel's attacks. "Someone is helping evacuate civilians," Haiwan said. "Someone who knows exactly where the refugees are going before official channels report it." "How is that possible?" "Because whoever it is thinks like a tactician. They predict where people will run, and they are there waiting to help." Yujin studied the pattern. The ship moved in ways that reminded her of the battle descriptions she read about the Frontier Wars. Efficient, strategic, always one step ahead. "You think it is him?" Yujin said quietly. "I think it might be. But why would he help if he is hiding from everyone? Maybe he cannot stop himself. Maybe helping people is who he is, even if he wants to forget." They tracked the ship's path. If it continued its current pattern, it would be near Kesh 9 in approximately 2 days. Yujin made a decision. "Can we send a message to that ship?" "We can try. But there is no guarantee he will respond." They composed a message together. It was simple and direct. "This is Yujin, human diplomat. Kesh 9 colony needs help. Thaxel is coming. Will you help us?" They sent it on all frequencies. Then they waited. Hours passed with no response. Yujin started to think it was hopeless. Maybe the ship was not even him. Maybe it was just a random person helping refugees. Then, just before dawn, a response came. It was a text message, not voice. Just 3 words. "I cannot fight." HFY read it and nodded. "That is him. That is Taijin." "How do you know?" "Because anyone else would have said they will not fight. He said cannot. He wants to help, but something is stopping him." Yujin sent another message. "We do not need you to fight. We need you to teach us how to defend ourselves." No response came. The morning brought worse news. Thaxel's fleet had finished gathering. Intelligence reported more than 40 ships carrying nearly 2,000 mercenaries. They would arrive at Kesh 9 in 3 days. The colony representatives decided to evacuate. They would leave behind everything and try to reach council space before the attack. Ships were being organized. Yujin watched the preparations, feeling helpless. All her training, all her idealism about peaceful solutions, meant nothing in the face of overwhelming force. She went back to the communication center one more time. The mysterious ship was still on the scanners, but it had changed course. Instead of coming toward Kesh 9, it was moving away. He was running. Yujin sent one final message. She did not know if he would read it. She did not know if it would matter. "My name is Yujin. I am 24 years old. I wanted to show the galaxy that humans build peace, not just win wars. But I cannot do it alone. I cannot save these people by myself. If you ever cared about protecting the innocent, please help us. Not as a warrior, as a teacher." She turned off the console and walked away. The evacuation would begin tomorrow. In 3 days, Thaxel would arrive and find an empty colony. He would destroy it anyway, just to send a message. Humanity's reputation would change again, not as fierce warriors, but as people who ran when challenged. Maybe that was better than being feared, but it did not feel like it. Yujin packed her few belongings and prepared to leave with the others. She had failed her first mission. Perhaps diplomacy was not enough in a galaxy that respected strength more than words. The mysterious ship on the scanners continued moving away until it disappeared from range completely. Yujin made a decision that night. Instead of boarding the evacuation ships with the others, she went to HFY's quarters. "I need to borrow a ship," she said. HFY looked up from packing her belongings. "For what?" "I am going to find him." "You do not even know where he is." "I know where he was. I can follow the trail. I am not letting these people lose their homes without at least trying everything possible." HFY studied her face for a long moment. Then she nodded. "I am coming with you." "You do not have to." "Yes, I do. You will need someone who knows what to say to him. Someone who was there during the war." They took a small transport ship, the kind miners used to survey asteroid fields. It was old, but fast. HFY knew how to fly it well. As they left Kesh 9, Yujin contacted Veltar one more time. She explained what she was doing. Her mentor's face on the screen showed concern. "This is against orders," he said. "I know. You could lose your position as a diplomat." "I know that too. But if I just watch people die because I followed rules, then what is the point of being a diplomat?" Veltar was quiet. Then his scaled face softened slightly. "I will tell the council you are pursuing an alternative solution. That will buy you some time. But Yujin, be careful. The man you are looking for might not want to be found." They followed the path of the mysterious ship. At each refugee camp, Yujin asked questions. Most people did not remember much about whoever helped them, but a few recalled details. "He never spoke," one Vornal refugee said. "Just helped us load supplies and pointed us towards safety." "Strong," a Hexeth survivor remembered. "Moved efficiently, military training obvious." "Sad eyes," a young Kryn child said. "He looked at us like he remembered something painful." The trail led them to the outer rim of the sector. The colonies here were older, established before the frontier wars. Many were damaged and never fully rebuilt. They found him on Baektu Station, or rather they found what was left of Baektu Station, the War Memorial. The station had been a major battleground. Thousands died here, human and alien alike. After the war ended, the survivors built a memorial garden in the ruins. Walls of stone carved with names of the fallen. Tai Jin was there, sitting among the memorial stones. He was older than Yu Jin expected. Maybe 45, maybe older. Hard to tell with the scars and the weathered skin. He wore simple clothes and was placing flowers on the memorial walls, one at a time. Yu Jin and Haiwan approached slowly. He did not turn around, but he spoke. "I told you I cannot fight." His voice was rough, like he did not use it often. "We are not asking you to fight," Yu Jin said. "We need help." "Same thing," he continued, placing flowers. Yu Jin saw he was following a pattern, moving from name to name. Human names, alien names, all mixed together. "Do you know all these people?" she asked. "I commanded most of them. The others I fought beside them, or against them." He placed another flower. "All dead because of decisions I made." Hei-Wan stepped forward. "I served medical support in the frontier wars. I saw you save countless lives." "I saw me end countless lives," Tae-Jin replied. "Victory does not erase that." Yu Jin walked around to face him. Up close, she saw the weight he carried. Not just physical scars, but something deeper, something that never healed. "Kesh 9 is going to be destroyed," she said. "Thaxel has gathered a fleet. He wants to prove that humans are not scary anymore. Thousands will die. Then evacuate." They are evacuating, but he will just attack the next colony, and the next, until he makes his point. Let the Council handle it. The Council is afraid. They remember the frontier wars. They do not want another conflict. Tae-Jin finally looked at her. His eyes were dark and tired. "And you think one old soldier can stop that? I think you can teach us to defend ourselves. I taught people to fight before. It turned me into a monster." Yu Jin felt frustration building. "Those people at the refugee camps. You helped them. Why? That is different." "How?" "I did not fight. I just helped them run." Running is not always possible. Sometimes people have to stand and protect what is theirs. Tae-Jin stood up slowly. He was not as tall as Yu Jin expected. Average height, lean build, nothing physically impressive. But the way he moved showed years of training and experience. "You do not understand what you are asking," he said. "To defend Kesh 9 against Thaxel's forces, you would need to make them afraid. That means showing them something terrifying. That means becoming what I became." "What did you become?" He gestured at the memorial walls. "Someone who could do anything to win. Someone who used fear as a weapon. Someone who made entire species have nightmares about humanity." Haiwan spoke gently. "You saved 17 worlds. I turned the galaxy's fear toward my own people. Before the war, humans were unknown. After, we are the species that never stops. The species that sacrifices anything. The species that cannot be predicted or defeated through normal means." Tae-Jin looked at the flowers in his hands. "I made us into monsters in alien eyes." "You made us into survivors," Yu Jin said. "Same thing sometimes." They stood in silence among the memorial stones. Yu Jin searched for the right words. Everything she had been taught about diplomacy and persuasion felt useless here. "I read your tactics," she said finally. "You did not win through cruelty. You won through intelligence and determination. I won through making my enemies believe I would never stop, that I would sacrifice anything, that humans are willing to go further than any sane species should go." Tae-jin's voice dropped to almost a whisper. And they were right to believe it. Because I did. Then teach us to do it without becoming monsters. You have had 15 years to think about it. You know war better than anyone. Help us find a way to defend without becoming what you fear. Tae-jin looked at her for a long time. Then he looked at Hae-won. Recognition showed in his eyes. You were at Medical Station 7, during the siege. Hae-won nodded. You held the line for 3 days while we evacuated the wounded. I remember. You stayed until the last person was safe. You would not leave even when I ordered you to. Humans are stubborn, Hae-won said with a slight smile. Yes, we are. Tae-jin walked to another memorial stone and placed his last flower. That is our strength and our curse. He turned back to them. If I help, I am not leading any battles. I am not fighting. I will teach, nothing more. That is all we ask, Yujin said quickly. And if your people need to become monsters to survive, I will not stop them. But I will not be the one who turns them. Understood. Tae-jin looked around at the memorial one more time. Thousands of names carved in stone. Thousands of lives ended. I swore I would never cause another name to be added to these walls, he said quietly. But I suppose teaching people to defend themselves is different from leading them to war. It is, Yujin assured him. He nodded slowly. Then we should go. You said Thaxel arrives in 3 days? Less than that now. Then we do not have much time. Tae-jin walked toward their ship. His step was heavy, like each movement required effort, the weight of memory. As they boarded, Hae-won whispered to Yujin, That was easier than I expected. Yujin shook her head. Look at him. He never wanted to stop helping. He was just afraid of what helping would turn him into again. They left Baektu Station behind. Tae-jin sat in the back of the ship, staring at nothing. Yujin wondered what he was thinking. What memories played behind those tired eyes. The ship jumped to faster-than-light speed. They raced back toward Kesh 9, where Thaxel's fleet would arrive in less than 48 hours. They arrived at Kesh 9 30 hours before Thaxel's fleet. The colony was nearly empty. Most people had evacuated already. Only a few hundred remained, mostly those who had nowhere else to go or who refused to abandon their homes. Tae-jin stepped off the ship and looked around. His expression did not change, but Yujin saw his eyes taking in every detail. The canyon walls, the building positions, the tunnel entrances. He was already thinking tactically. How many stayed? He asked. About 300, Hae-won replied. Mix of species, mostly miners and their families. Any military training among them? Some, veterans from various conflicts, but nothing organized. Tae-jin nodded. Show me the defense preparations. They walked through the colony. What little defense had been prepared was basic. A few energy barriers, some weapon emplacements, scattered volunteers with mining equipment modified to be dangerous. Tae-jin stopped at each position, asking questions, making observations. He did not criticize, but Yujin could see the concern in his face. This will not hold, he said finally, not against 2,000 trained mercenaries. Then what do we do? Yujin asked. We change the situation. Tae-jin pulled up a holographic map of the colony. Defense is not about strength. It is about making the attack too costly. We need to make Thaxel question if taking this colony is worth what he will lose. He started marking positions on the map. The tunnels are your advantage. Thaxel has numbers and firepower. But in confined spaces, those mean less. We turn the entire colony into a maze that favors defenders. That is what you did last time you were here, Hae-won said. Yes, and it worked then. But Thaxel knows that tactic now. He will be prepared for it. So what is different this time? Yujin asked. Tae-jin looked at her. This time I am not in command. This time the people defend themselves. That changes how we think about this. He called together everyone who remained in the colony. They gathered in the main cavern, a diverse group of scared but determined people. Humans stood beside Vornal, Hexith, even a few Kryn who had made this place their home. Tai Jin stood before them. He did not try to inspire them with speeches. He just spoke plainly. My name is Tai Jin. Some of you know who I am. Some of you heard stories. All of that does not matter now. What matters is that in 30 hours, an army will arrive to take your home. I can teach you how to make that too difficult for them. But I will not lie to you. Some of you will probably die. If you want to leave, leave now. No shame in survival. Nobody moved. All right, then. Let me tell you the truth about warfare. It is not about who is strongest or who has the best weapons. It is about who can make the other side give up first. We are going to make Thaxel give up. He spent the next hours organizing them into teams, not soldiers, but groups with specific purposes. Some would manage the tunnel defenses, others would handle communication and supplies, some would be responsible for evacuation routes in case everything fell apart. Yujin watched him work. He was patient, explaining things in ways people could understand. He never raised his voice or showed frustration, but there was authority in how he spoke. People listened. As evening fell, Yujin found Taijin sitting alone on the colony's edge, looking at the stars. You are good at this, she said. I have had practice. Are you afraid? He considered the question. Always. Fear keeps you alert. The problem is when fear makes you hesitate. Do you think we can win? Win is a complicated word. Can we survive? Maybe. Can we make Thaxel retreat? Possibly. Can we do it without becoming what I became? He shook his head. I do not know. Yujin sat beside him. What did you become? Everyone speaks about it, but nobody explains it clearly. Taijin was quiet for a long moment. During the war, I learned that humans have an advantage other species do not have. We can keep going past the point where stopping makes sense. We can survive things that should kill us. We can adapt to situations that should break us. Other species have limits built into their thinking. Biological limits, cultural limits, psychological limits. Humans have those limits too, but we can ignore them when necessary. That sounds like strength. It is also madness. I used that madness to win battles. I sent people into situations where survival was nearly impossible, and they went because they trusted me. I made decisions that any sane commander would refuse to make. And because I was willing to do that, because I showed aliens that humans will go further than logic suggests, they became afraid of us. He looked at his hands. I turned human adaptability into a weapon of terror. That is what I became. But you saved people. I did. But I also taught the galaxy to fear us. Now when aliens see humans, they do not see explorers or traitors. They see the species that does not know when to quit. The species that might do anything if pushed. That fear has consequences. Peaceful humans like you have to carry that reputation. Yujin understood now. You are afraid that defending Kesh 9 will make it worse. That it will prove to the galaxy that humans are exactly what they fear. Yes. But if we do nothing, Thaxel proves we are weak. Either way, our reputation changes. True. Taijin stood up. That is why I am only teaching, not leading. Your people will defend themselves their own way. Maybe that will show something different than what I showed during the war. The next morning, they received a transmission. It was from Thaxel himself. His image appeared on the screens throughout the colony. He was massive, even for a Kryn. Scaled skin, powerful muscles, predator eyes. Humans of Kesh 9, he said in heavily accented common language. I know you remain in your colony. I know you prepare to fight. This is foolish. You cannot win. Abandon your home now, and I will allow you to live. Stay. And I will show the galaxy that human warriors were only dangerous because of one unique individual who is now gone. The transmission ended. Yujin looked at Tae-jin. Should we respond? No. Words do not matter to him, only actions. The final preparations continued through the day and night. Tae-jin moved among the defenders, offering advice, adjusting positions, teaching small tactics that could make differences in confined fighting. Bo-ra arrived unexpectedly on a supply ship. She was a human doctor who had worked in the frontier wars. Yujin remembered her from Hai Wan's stories. Heard you found the old man, Bo-ra said, finding Tae-jin in the medical station. Thought you could use another veteran who remembers how he thinks. Tae-jin looked at her. Bo-ra, you should not be here. Neither should you, but here we are. They embraced briefly, old comrades reunited. Then Bo-ra got to work organizing medical supplies and training volunteers in basic trauma care. The hours counted down. Thaxel's fleet would arrive soon. Yujin stood in the command center watching the scanners. Tae-jin was beside her, calm and focused. Are you going to fight? She asked him quietly. No. I told you I am only teaching. What if teaching is not enough? He did not answer. The scanners began showing incoming ships, dozens of them, dropping out of faster-than-light speed at the edge of the system. Thaxel had arrived. His fleet moved toward Kesh 9 slowly, confidently. They were not rushing. They knew the defenders were outnumbered and outgunned. Tae-jin watched the fleet approach. His expression was unreadable. Yujin made a decision. She opened a communication channel, broadcasting on all frequencies. This is Yujin, human diplomat of Kesh 9. I send this message to all species in this sector. Thaxel comes here to prove that humans are weak without our warriors. He comes to prove that we will run. But we will not run. Not because we are warriors, but because we refuse to abandon each other. That is the real human strength. Not one man's tactics, but our unwillingness to leave anyone behind. She looked at Tae-jin as she spoke the next words. We are survivors not because we are violent, but because we never abandon each other. We are feared not because one warrior was brilliant, but because every human knows the same truth. We take care of our own, no matter the cost. The transmission went out across the sector. Within minutes, responses started coming back. Other colonies, refugee groups, even some alien settlements. Kesh 9, this is Station Velen. We stand with you. Kesh 9, refugee ship Bright Dawn here. We remember who helped us. We are coming back. More and more messages. Small ships turning around, heading back toward Kesh 9. Not to fight, but to stand together. Tae-jin watched this happen, and for the first time since Yujin met him, she saw something like hope in his face. Thaxel's fleet entered orbit around Kesh 9. 43 ships of various sizes and purposes. Enough firepower to level the colony 10 times over. The defenders watched on their screens, seeing the overwhelming force arrayed against them. But something unexpected was happening. Other ships were arriving too. Small transports from refugee camps, mining vessels from neighboring colonies, even a few council observation ships that were supposed to remain neutral. They did not come to fight. They came to witness, to stand in solidarity. Within hours, more than 100 ships surrounded Kesh 9. Most were unarmed. They just positioned themselves between the colony and Thaxel's fleet, creating a barrier of bodies. What are they doing? Yujin asked. Tae-jin watched the display. They are making a statement. Thaxel cannot attack without going through civilians from a dozen different species. If he does, this stops being about human weakness. It becomes about him being a monster. A transmission came from Thaxel's flagship. His face appeared on the screen, showing anger. Move your ships. This does not concern you. No one moved. I will fire through you if necessary, a Vornal captain replied. Then you fire on Vornal civilians. Your fight becomes our fight. A Hexith representative spoke next. You fire on Hexith witnesses. We will not forget. More voices joined. Different species, different languages, all saying the same thing. We are here. We will not move. Thaxel cut the transmission. Inside the colony, the defenders waited. Hours passed in tense silence. Then Thaxel's ships began moving, not attacking, but repositioning, trying to find an angle that did not have civilian ships in the way. The civilian ships moved with them, maintaining the barrier. He is getting frustrated, Taejin observed. This is not the battle he wanted. He came to prove humans are weak, but instead he looks like a bully who cannot even reach his target. Yujin felt hope growing. Maybe he will give up. Maybe, but pride is a dangerous thing. Another transmission came. This time Thaxel spoke directly to Taejin. I know you are there, human. I can feel your tactics in this. You hide behind civilians like always. Taejin did not respond. Face me yourself, Thaxel continued. You and me. Single combat. If I win, all these ships leave and I take the colony. If you win, my fleet withdraws and leaves this sector forever. The transmission ended. Everyone looked at Taejin. He stood still, expression neutral. Do not do it, Bora said immediately. It is a trap. Of course it is a trap, Taejin agreed. But it is also an opportunity. You said you would not fight, Yujin reminded him. I said I would not lead battles. This is different. He looked at the screens showing Thaxel's fleet. He is right. I am the reason the galaxy fears humans. If anyone should face him, it should be me. You cannot win in single combat against a Kryn warrior, Haiwan said. They are twice your size and 3 times your strength. Physical strength is not the only kind of strength. Taejin walked toward the airlock. Yujin followed him. This is exactly what you said you would not do. You said you would not become that person again. He stopped and looked at her. I am not doing this as a warrior. I am doing this as someone who takes responsibility for what he created. Thaxel wants to fight the legend. Let him. Maybe when he sees the reality, the legend will finally die. Before Yujin could argue further, Taejin opened a communication channel to Thaxel. I accept your challenge. Central Plaza of Kesh 9, 1 hour, no weapons except what we carry. Thaxel's response was immediate. Finally, the human shows courage. The next hour moved slowly. Taejin prepared quietly. He did not put on armor or gather weapons. He just stretched and moved through old training routines, limbering muscles and clearing his mind. Bora approached him. I served with you for 3 years. I never saw you lose a fight. But I also never saw you fight fair. I do not plan to fight fair now. Good. Because Kryn do not fight fair either. The Central Plaza was an open area in the middle of the colony, carved from natural rock, surrounded by buildings on all sides. Hundreds of people gathered to watch, not just the defenders, but aliens from the ships above. They landed in small transports, wanting to witness this confrontation. Thaxel arrived in a personal shuttle. He stepped out wearing light armor and carrying a massive blade. He was enormous, easily 2.5 meters tall, muscles like coiled steel, scars covering his scales, marks of countless battles. Taejin stood in the center of the plaza wearing simple clothes. No armor, no obvious weapons. He looked tiny compared to the Kryn warlord. They faced each other across the open space. You are smaller than I expected, Thaxel said. Size is not everything, Taejin replied. In combat, it is most things. Thaxel raised his blade. When I defeat you, the galaxy will finally see. Humans are not special. You are just one lucky individual. Then let us see. What happened next would be talked about for years across the galaxy. Thaxel charged forward with incredible speed. His blade swung toward Tae-Jin's head, fast enough to split stone. Tae-Jin was not there. He had moved before the swing completed, rolling to the side and coming up behind his opponent. Thaxel spun, blade following. Again, Tae-Jin was not where the attack landed. He moved with economy, never wasting motion, always staying just out of reach. "Stand and fight!" Thaxel roared. "I am fighting!" The Kryn attacked again and again. Each strike was powerful enough to kill. Each strike hit empty air. Tae-Jin moved through the plaza like water, flowing around obstacles, using the terrain. This was not the wild unpredictability that aliens expected from human warriors. This was something else. This was patience turned into combat. After 10 minutes, Thaxel was breathing hard. His attacks became sloppier. Frustration made him reckless. Tae-Jin finally struck back, not with a weapon, but with his body. He moved inside Thaxel's guard and hit pressure points that made the Kryn's arm go numb. The massive blade fell from weakened fingers. Thaxel swung with his other arm. The blow connected, sending Tae-Jin tumbling across the plaza. The human rolled to his feet, blood running from his mouth, but he was smiling. "You are strong," Tae-Jin said. "But strength without control is just violence." He picked up a piece of fallen rock, not as a weapon, but as a tool. When Thaxel charged again, Tae-Jin threw the rock at his feet. The Kryn stumbled, balance disrupted. Tae-Jin used that moment to strike again. Pressure points, joints, weak spots in the armor. None of the hits were powerful, but they accumulated. The fight went on for another 20 minutes. It was not dramatic. It was not the epic clash everyone expected. It was methodical and precise. Tae-Jin wore down his opponent through patience and knowledge. Every move was calculated. Every strike had a purpose. He was not trying to overpower Thaxel. He was trying to exhaust him. Finally, the Kryn warrior collapsed to one knee, breathing heavily. His muscles trembled with fatigue. His pride kept him trying to stand, but his body would not cooperate. Tae-Jin stood in front of him, barely wounded despite the beating he had taken. "You are defeated," Tae-Jin said quietly. "Kill me then. Prove human cruelty." "No." Tae-Jin stepped back. "You want me to be the monster you imagine. But I am just a person who learned when to fight and when to stop." He looked up at the crowds watching, humans and aliens together, all seeing what just happened. "Humans do not win because we are stronger," Tae-Jin said loudly enough for everyone to hear. "We win because we refuse to lose. That stubbornness is our curse and our gift, but stubbornness without wisdom is just stupidity." He turned to Thaxel. "Your fleet will leave this sector. Your mercenaries will find other work, and you will live with the knowledge that you lost not to superior strength, but to someone who simply would not give up." Thaxel struggled to his feet. His pride was wounded more than his body. He looked at Tae-Jin with something between hate and respect. "You could have killed me. Why did you not?" "Because I am tired of killing. I am tired of creating fear. I wanted to show something different." "What?" "That humans can be strong without being terrifying." Thaxel stood silent for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. "Your terms are accepted. My fleet will withdraw." He turned and walked back to his shuttle. His movements were slow, pained. The watching mercenaries and warriors saw their leader defeated not through luck or tricks, but through skill and endurance. The civilian ships in orbit began broadcasting. The news spread across the sector within minutes. Tae-Jin had returned. Tae-Jin had fought. Tae-Jin had won without killing. Inside the colony, Yu-Jin found Tae-Jin sitting alone, tending his wounds. "You said you would not fight," she said. "I lied, or maybe I convinced myself I believed it." He winced as he pressed a medical patch to his ribs. "But when I saw a chance to change what people think about humans, I had to take it." "Did it work?" "I do not know. Ask me in 10 years. Bo-Ra came over with more medical supplies. That was either brilliant or stupid. Usually the same thing, Tae-Jin replied. Around them, the colony celebrated. Not because they won a battle, but because they survived. Because they stood together. Because fear did not win. 3 months passed. Kesh 9 was rebuilding. The damaged mining equipment was being repaired. New colonists arrived, wanting to be part of the place that stood against Thaxel. The colony became a symbol of peaceful resistance. Yujin stayed to help coordinate the reconstruction. She worked with the 3 factions to establish a permanent government. Mining rights were divided fairly. Everyone who stood together during the crisis got a voice in how the colony would move forward. The Galactic Council officially recognized Kesh 9 as a joint species colony protected under council law. They also offered Yujin a position as senior mediator, supervising conflicts in the entire sector. She was in her office reviewing proposals when Veltar contacted her. "You have done well," her mentor said through the communication screen. His scales showed colors of approval. "The council is impressed with how you handled the situation. I did not handle it alone." "Yes, the human warrior, Tae-Jin. Where is he now?" Yujin looked out her window. In the distance, she could see the memorial garden that Tae-Jin had been building for the past month. Every day he worked there, planting and carving names. "He is still here," she said. "The council would like to speak with him, offer him a position. I will ask him, but I do not think he will accept." She was right. When she found Tae-Jin in the garden that evening, he was finishing a stone marker. It listed the names of people who died in conflicts across the sector over the past 15 years. "The council wants to hire you," Yujin said. "As what? A warrior?" "As a teacher. They want you to train peacekeepers in your methods." Tae-Jin was quiet for a moment, his hands still on the stone. "My methods involve making people afraid. That is not what peacekeepers should learn. You beat Thaxel without killing him. You showed restraint and wisdom. That is exactly what peacekeepers need to learn." He looked at her. "You are stubborn. I learned from the best." A small smile crossed his face. "Let me think about it." Days turned into weeks. Tae-Jin did eventually accept a teaching position, but not with the military. He joined the Galactic Council's diplomatic academy, teaching strategy and conflict resolution. His classes were strange. He taught students how to read situations, how to understand psychology, how to use patience as a weapon. He taught them that the best victories were the ones where no one died. Students from all species attended his lectures. At first they came because of his reputation. They wanted to learn from the legendary warrior, but they stayed because of what he actually taught. "Fear is easy," he told one class. "Any fool with enough violence can make people afraid. But respect requires something more. It requires showing strength without cruelty. It requires winning without destroying your enemy's dignity." Yujin visited his classes sometimes. She saw how he had changed. He still carried the weight of his past, but he was building something new on top of it. One evening, they sat together in the memorial garden. The sun was setting over Kesh 9, painting the canyon walls orange and gold. "Do you regret coming back?" Yujin asked. "Every day. And also, not at all." Tae-Jin looked at the names carved in stone. "I spent 15 years hiding from what I did. I thought isolation was atonement. But Bo-Ra was right. Isolation was just cowardice." "What made you change your mind?" "Your message. When you said you wanted to show the galaxy that humans build peace, not just win wars. That made me realize something." He paused, choosing words carefully. "I showed them what to fear. Maybe I should also show them what to respect." "Do you think it is working?" "I do not know. Change takes time. But I see students from species that once feared humans now learning to work with them. I see aliens and humans trusting each other. That is something. Haywan joined them in the garden. She had stayed on Kesh 9 to continue running her mining operation. Bo-Ra had also remained, establishing a medical school to train emergency responders. The old war team together again, Bo-Ra said, sitting on one of the memorial stones. Except now we build instead of destroy. I prefer this version, Haywan said. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the stars appear in the darkening sky. 3 veterans of an old war, now working toward a different kind of future. Weeks later, a new diplomat arrived at Kesh 9. She was a young hexeth named Kreenel, assigned to learn mediation from Yujin. It was her first assignment off her home world. Yujin met her at the landing pad. Kreenel's crystalline body was dim with nervousness. I am honored to work with you, Kreenel said. Her voice chimed like distant bells. Your resolution of the Kesh 9 crisis is taught as a case study at the Academy. I had help, Yujin said. Come, I will introduce you to the colony. They walked through the streets. Kreenel looked around at the mix of species living and working together. Is it true? The young hexeth asked quietly. That Taijin lives here? He teaches at the Academy now. You might meet him. I am afraid. Yujin stopped walking. Afraid of what? Of him. We are taught that he was the most dangerous human, that he could destroy anything, that he never lost. Would you like to meet him now? Kreenel's body flickered with panic, but she nodded bravely. They went to the memorial garden. Taijin was there, as he often was in the late afternoon. He was teaching a small group of students about defensive positioning. When he saw Yujin, he dismissed the class. Taijin, this is Kreenel. She is new to diplomatic work. The hexeth's body was trembling slightly, colors shifting with fear. Taijin noticed immediately. You do not need to be afraid of me, he said gently. The stories say you are terrifying. The stories say a lot of things. Most of them are exaggerations. He gestured around the garden. Do I look terrifying now? Kreenel looked at the flowers, the memorial stones, the peaceful setting. No, you look sad. That is a good observation. Yes, I am sad. War makes everyone sad eventually, even the winners. But you won every battle. I did, but I also lost every battle, because in every battle someone dies, someone's family loses them, someone's future ends. He pointed to the names on the stones. These are the people I remember, both my allies and my enemies. They all deserved to live. Kreenel's body stopped trembling. You honor your enemies? I honor everyone who died in wars I was part of. Their species does not matter. Their side does not matter. They were all people with lives and families and dreams. The young hexeth was quiet, processing this. Then she asked the question that had been bothering her since she heard about Taijin. Why do aliens fear humans so much? We are all capable of violence if needed. Taijin sat down on one of the memorial benches. Yujin sat beside him. Kreenel stood before them, her crystalline form reflecting the sunset light. Because humans do not know when to stop, Taijin said. Other species have limits built into their thinking. Biological limits, cultural limits, moral limits. When things become too hard, too painful, too costly, other species recognize it is time to surrender or retreat. Humans do not have that same recognition. We keep going past the point where logic says we should quit. That sounds like insanity, Kreenel said. It is. It is beautiful and terrible at the same time. It is why humans survived on a planet that tried to kill us in 100 ways. It is why we explored beyond our world, even when it seemed impossible. It is why we refused to be conquered during the frontier wars. Yujin added, but it is also why humans are dangerous. We do not always know when to stop fighting, stop pushing, stop trying. Sometimes we need others to tell us when enough is enough. Kreenel's colors shifted to understanding. So you fear yourselves as much as we fear you. Yes, Taejin said, that is the truth nobody talks about. Humans are terrifying because we cannot predict our own limits. We do not know what we are capable of until we are pushed to find out. They sat together as the sun set completely. Stars filled the sky above Kesh 9. Somewhere out there, other colonies were growing. Other species were meeting humans for the first time. The legend of Taejin would reach them eventually. But maybe now the legend would be different. Not just about a warrior who never lost, but about a person who learned when to fight and when to build, who learned that true strength includes knowing when to show mercy. Yujin walked Kreenel back to her quarters later that evening. "Are you still afraid of humans?" Yujin asked. "A little," Kreenel admitted, "but I think I understand better now. You are not monsters. You are people who sometimes do monstrous things when pushed. But you are also people who build gardens and remember the dead and teach others to make peace." "That is probably the most accurate description of humanity I have heard," Yujin said. In her quarters that night, Yujin made a log entry. It was something she did every evening, recording thoughts and observations for future diplomats. They say she trembled at his name. Maybe she did. Maybe every person who meets Taejin trembles a little because his name carries the weight of what humans can become when desperate. She paused, thinking about how to phrase her next thoughts. But maybe she trembled because she understood what it cost him to earn that name. Maybe she trembled because she saw how much he sacrificed to become a legend. How much of himself he had to lose to save others. She looked out her window at the memorial garden, barely visible in the darkness. Humanity's greatest strength is not that we never break. It is that, even broken, we choose to rebuild. Even after becoming monsters, we choose to become teachers. Even after learning to fear ourselves, we choose to trust ourselves with building peace. She closed the log entry and prepared for sleep. Tomorrow there would be more negotiations. More conflicts to resolve, more chances to show the galaxy what humans could be. In the memorial garden, Taejin stood alone. He looked at the stars, thinking about the past and the future, thinking about the students he taught and the reputation he could never fully escape, but also thinking about the names carved in stone that would never be forgotten. And about the new names that would not need to be carved because wars were avoided instead of won. He placed one final flower on the memorial, then walked back toward his quarters. His step was lighter than it had been in 15 years. The legend of Taejin would continue. Stories would spread. New versions would emerge. Some would be true. Some would be exaggerated. Some would miss the point entirely. But one truth would remain. Humans were survivors, not because they were the strongest or the smartest or the most advanced, but because they refused to give up on each other. And sometimes, in a galaxy that often valued strength over compassion, that refusal to give up was the most terrifying and beautiful thing of all.